to Ginkgo Talks. In this video, we'll be discussing questions 1 to 15 of the CTET paper 2. As you know, questions 1 to 30 belong to the first part of the paper, that is child development and pedagogy. In this video, we'll not only discuss the answers, but we'll be revising the theory behind the questions wherever possible. So let's start with the discussion. The test booklet code of this question paper is E. So let's start with question number 1. Noor forgot to bring her tiffin to school and asked Sanya to share her tiffin, saying, "You should share your tiffin with me today because I shared my tiffin with you yesterday." According to Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of model development, Noor's statements represents dash orientation typical at dash stage. To answer the question, let's just quickly recall Kohlberg's theory of model development. He divided model development into 3 stages: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. So what the question is demanding is the detail which seems to fit under the conventional level and exchange orientation. So the correct answer is option 4. Let's move on to question number 2. Widely held beliefs about typified characteristics deemed appropriate for different sexes in the society are referred to as option 1 gender discrimination, option 2 gender roles, option 3 gender identity, option 4 gender stereotypes. Let's recall quickly what all these options mean. Gender discrimination is unequal treatment of an individual or a group based on gender. Gender roles are expectations about the division of labor between the sexes and gender related rules about social interactions that exist within a particular cultural historical context. Next is gender identity. It is personal conception of a person about how they perceive themselves. So it is defined as outward manifestation of personality that reflects the gender identity. Last is gender stereotypes. These are preconceived ideas of the society. The society assigns certain characteristics and roles to the male and female. Definition of gender stereotypes seem to be the correct fit for the statement given in the question. So the correct answer is option 4. Question number 3. Recently there have been conscious efforts to include stories in curriculum where father is involved in household works and mother is doing adventure activities. This move is important because option 1, it aims to strengthen gender bias. Option 2, it aims to eliminate gender stereotyping. Option 3, it aims to encourage gender constancy. Option 4, it aims to increase gender discrimination. As discussed earlier, it clearly is an example of eliminating gender stereotyping. So the correct answer is option number 2. Question number 4. According to Vygotsky, when adults adjust the support to extend the child's current level of performance, it is called option 1 discovery learning, option 2 zone of proximal development, option 3 scaffolding, and option 4 intersubjectivity. To answer this question, let's recall Vygotsky's zone of development. He stated that there are 3 zones. First is zone of external development, where the child is not old enough to accomplish a task or learn even with someone's help. Second is zone of proximal development, where the child is able to do the task or learn with the help of the adult. Third is zone of actual development, where the child can accomplish the task without assistance from more experienced people. He also gave the concept of scaffolding, which is a part of zone of proximal development. Scaffolding is the support from the teachers or a more experienced adult to extend child's current level of performance. So the correct answer is option number 3. Question number 5. According to Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development, hypothetico-deductive reasoning develops during option 1 sensory motor stage, option 2 pre-operational stage, option 3 concrete operational stage, option 4 formal operation stage. Quickly recall Piaget's theory of cognitive development with the help of this table, and we can clearly see that hypothetico-deductive reasoning develops during formal operational stage. The correct answer is option 4. Question 6. According to Dash, it is important to understand the social processes and influence of the culture context on children's thinking. Option 1, Lawrence Kohlberg. Option 2, Jean Piaget. Option 3, Lev Vygotsky. And option 4, Albert Bandura. As we know that Lev Vygotsky gave socio-cultural theory in which he pointed out that social interaction plays a critical role in learning. So the correct answer is option number 3. Question 7. Drawing implications from Piaget's theory of cognitive development, a teacher of grade 6 to 8 in his classroom should: option 1, discourage use of logical arguments. Option 2, present problems that require reasoning-based solutions. Option 3, use only concrete materials to teach a concept. Option 4, rely solely on prescribed syllabus. Again, let's recall Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Grade 6 to 8 children belong to the age 11 and above. So at this stage, children are able to think critically, and hence a teacher of grade 6 to 8 in his or her classroom should present problems that require reasoning-based solutions. The correct answer is option number 2. Question 8. As per Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, what would be the characteristics of a person with logico-mathematical intelligence? Option 1, sensitivity to the sounds, rhythms, and meanings of words. Option 2, ability to perceive visual, spatial world accurately. Option 3, ability to produce and appreciate pitch, rhythm, and aesthetic quality of music expressiveness. Option 4, sensitivity to and capacity to detect patterns, handle long chains of reasoning. Recall Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. He developed a series of 8 inclusion criteria. They were: first, linguistic intelligence. It deals with sensitivity to spoken and written language. Second, logico-mathematical intelligence. It refers to the capacity to analyze problems logically and carry out mathematical operations and investigate issues scientifically. Third is naturalist's intelligence. It involves expertise in recognition and classification of the numerous species, the flora and fauna of his or her environment. Fourth is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. It is a potential of using one's whole body or parts of the body. Fifth is musical intelligence. It refers to the skill in the performance, composition, and appreciation of musical patterns. Sixth is interpersonal intelligence. It is a capacity to understand the intentions, motivations, and desires of other people. Next is intrapersonal intelligence. It is a capacity to understand oneself. And lastly, spatial intelligence. It features the potential to recognize and manipulate the patterns of white space. So the correct answer is option number 4. Question 9. The process by which children develop habits, skills, values, and motives that make them responsible, productive members of society is called: option 1, socialization. Option 2, inclusion. Option 3, mainstreaming. Option 4, differentiation. The correct answer is option 1, socialization. But for revision purpose, let's look at all the other options. Inclusion is full acceptance of the students so that they have a sense of belonging. Now let's understand what mainstreaming is. It is the integration of children with special educational problems. Lastly, differentiation. It means tailoring your lesson, not your students' goals. Question 10. Which of the following statements about the role of heredity and environment in human development is correct? Option 1. The only reason for individual differences is heredity. Option 2. Environmental influences totally shape the development of a human. Option 3. Neither heredity nor environment influence human development. Option 4. Heredity and environment both influence human development in a complex interplay. So the answer is option 4, because both genetic composition, that is heredity, and environment play important role in human development. Question 11. In a progressive classroom, option 1, knowledge is constructed by the learner. Option 2, knowledge is received passively by the learner. Option 3, knowledge is reproduced by the learner as it is. Option 4, knowledge is recalled by the learner as per instructions of the teacher. The correct answer is option 1. As the knowledge is constructed by the learner, it is not reproduced nor recalled, and knowledge is not received passively. Question 12. Continuous and comprehensive evaluation includes option 1, only formative assessment, option 2, only summative assessment, option 3, neither formation nor summative assessment, option 4, both formative and summative assessments using a wide variety of strategies. Now let's recollect what formative and summative assessments are. Formative assessment is done in the form of small tests like oral tests. This form of assessment is used to monitor students' learning and to provide ongoing feedback so the teacher can incorporate changes in the instructions. And summative assessment is done in the form of annual examinations. These are used to evaluate students' learning at the end of an instructional unit. So the correct answer is option number 4. Both formative and summative assessments using a wide variety of strategies are used in continuous and comprehensive evaluation. Question 13. A student in your class has been told again and again from different sources that people from his social group typically perform poorly in academics. To reduce the impact of this stereotype and resultant stereotype threat, a teacher's initial step can be option 1, ignoring such concerns, option 2, organizing competition between students from different social groups, option 3, suggesting the student to leave academics and join some other domain, option 4, presenting stories and examples of role models from different social groups. The correct answer is option 4, as all the other options are inappropriate for a teacher to do. Question 14. In an inclusive classroom, a teacher should, option 1, believe that every child has a potential to learn as per their abilities and strength. Option 2, show an attitude of pity and sympathy towards disabled learners. Option 3, use labels such as handicapped child, retarded child to categorize children. Option 4, pay attention only to the gifted and talented children. The correct answer is option 1, as all the other options are not fitting as per the concept of inclusion. Question 15. A student shows the following signs in the classroom: anxiety around reading, difficulty in recognizing words or letters, poor vocabulary skills, difficulty with understanding or remembering what was read. These are all indications of, first, an autistic student, second, a creative student, third, a student with learning disability, fourth, a student with mental impairment. All the signs listed above are an indication of a student with learning disability, so the correct option is option 3. These are the references. Stay tuned for the second part and subscribe to our channel for more such videos.